Hey everyone, it's me, Jinx. And in honor of Black Panther becoming the highest grossing superhero movie to date, I'm doing a movie review. I saw the film twice and I loved it. I'm going to start off by saying that it passed the Avengers, it passed the Dark Knight, it's at number one. And while it might be beat out by Infinity War coming up soon, it is nice to see that a black superhero can make it to number one and people can love and accept it because let's be honest. I mean, we only really have Blade and Storm kind of in the X-Men movies and, side character roles. And it's nice to see that, the myth of a black movie can't sell has just been destroyed. And it really is a beautiful surprise and a great time to be a comic book movie fan right now. So let's start off with Wakanda as a whole. I love the way that Wakanda was portrayed in the film. I loved the clothing, the different variations of African cultures because many people look at Africa like it's just one country and it's a continent. It has many different countries in it with many different fashions and many different walks of life and religions and just identities. And it was nice to see that portrayed in the film because there were so many variations. And we'll get into that more when I talk more about the characters, but I loved it. I mean, there were so many different identities in the film, and Wakanda was just portrayed very beautifully. I thought people are going to want to see that at Disney. Like, people are going to want to live there. I was just sold. It was beautiful to see a reimagined world where if Africa got to a chance to really grow without colonization and people stealing away its people and kidnapping them for slaves, it's nice to fantasize what could have been. And I really think Wakanda is really that. So a lot of us just fell in love with that idea. Okay, so I'm going to be going over most of the characters and who my favorite was and how they worked their way into the film and what have you. So I'm going to start at number one. Number one, my favorite character in Black Panther was Shuri. Princess Shuri, the new best Disney princess, guys. Um, Shuri is T'Challa's Black Panther, aka T'Challa's little sister, and she is hilarious. She had probably all the best lines in the movie. She was smart, a genius. I think they took T'Challa's geniusness, like he has in the comics, and gave it to Shuri. Because in the comics, T'Challa is a genius right up there with Tony Stark and Mr. Fantastic. And I think they took that aspect of the character and gave it to Shuri, so she wasn't just this kid sister. And oh my gosh, she owned it. She was not only was she funny, she was ridiculously smart and intelligent, and she was also sexy and beautiful. And I just love that depiction of that in a character, any character to begin with, and then to give a person of color that role. Oh my gosh, she just ran with it and just made the most of it. I laughed at like almost all of her jokes. I mean, she had the best lines, the best delivery, and my favorite outfits too. She had some of the best outfits in the movie as well. I can't wait to see more of her in Infinity War and movies going forward. Matter of fact, the actor who plays Spider-Man in the MCU, he says he wants Shuri in his next Spider-Man movie, so you could see why she's really loved. And it's going to be nice to see her in Infinity War sit next to Tony Stark and Bruce Banner and the rest of the genius minds and kind of bump heads. They have a girl in their group now of the geniuses, so I'm going to love that. I want to see more of her, and I loved her in Black Panther. Um, so I think you get the gist. Shuri is the jam in that movie. So let's go to number two. Number two, my second favorite character had to be Okoye. She was played by Denai Guerra from The Walking Dead, and she was such a badass. She is almost like she reminds me of one of the Amazons from Wonder Woman. She was just so larger than life. She had this beautiful shaved head, this nice orangish red outfit. And she was such a by the book badass. And I think that's really neat to see. She has this giant spear she throws, and the way she fights with it is some of the best fighting in the MCU to date. Like, she is on point like Captain America is on point with his shield. So I've met her once before too, and I have to say I'm loving the fact that she's getting great roles outside of The Walking Dead. She is a incredible person in real life. She is super sweet and humble, and I just wish she gets everything coming to her and continues to do what she's doing. She is phenomenal. Um, And she also had, in my opinion, the best scene in the entire movie. There's a scene where T'Challa, Nakia, and Okoye go into this casino area, and she's wearing a wig, and she gets discovered that she's a spy, and she takes off the wig and she throws it and hits the guy in the face, and she breaks out her spear in this nice red dress, and she just starts kicking butt. And she jumps off a balcony too in this red dress. Just total black girl magic. Loved it. And I have to say, this film had a lot of black girl magic, a lot of beautiful black women roles, and they were all very different. Like, you can't say like they were the same character. All of them had vastly different roles, and I loved it. And keeping up with the black girl magic, my third favorite character was Angela Bassett as Queen Mother. Oh my goodness! First of all, I've loved Angela Bassett since I was a child. She is just everything. So I'm a little bit biased there. And second of all, I felt this was our way of getting her the closest we can get to Storm and Angela Bassett on screen. She had the white hair. She was gorgeous. She is just what you'd expect the queen to be, and I really felt she was a stand-in for Storm. Like, just the way they dressed her and just the way she kind of portrayed herself. And I went with it. I loved it. And I hope to see her in more movies too. And hopefully they don't just X her off like they X off Thor's mother in the second Thor movie, because I don't want to see that. Angela's here to stay. She is the queen. So that was number three. Number four, let's say Black Panther. I thought he's just perfect casting. Um, T'Challa is just greatly casted in these movies. He was in Civil War as well. He was great in there too. I thought another thing about him that's interesting is prior to these movie depictions, I was not a fan of Black Panther or Scarlet Witch. Mainly being Black Panther was a bit he really didn't treat Storm like an equal in the marriage, and a lot of that reading under that the writer when they were together was very forced, and the relationship didn't work out. It kind of led to their divorce. And granted, the new writer who's writing him now, I don't his name's eluding me. He's doing an excellent job of trying to repair their relationship despite the fact that they're divorced. And he's more inspired off the movie depiction of the character, and I really love um making him a bit more collected as opposed to just someone who kind of lashes out and needs respect in the arcs I've read him in. Granted, I didn't read many eras of Black Panther. I've only read Christopher Priest and whatever happened after Storm and Black Panther got married. So if you got any good, you know, Black Panther comics that I should read, definitely hook me up. I'm on the new run right now, the current run. And same with Scarlet Witch. I feel she's greatly portrayed in the MCU, but in the comics, she's kind of a victim, despite the fact she commits pretty much genocide when it comes to mutants with House of M. Like, I don't see how you can be a victim, but I felt in the movies they definitely brought her back to being more of a magic powerhouse, and she really blamed herself when she destroyed some of the Wakandans in Civil War. So I like what the MCU is doing to these characters, making them very relatable and depicted very well, and taking some of the aspects from the comics that didn't work and just polishing them up and making them better. And it's great because these MCU versions are now being the horse that pulls the carriage for the comics, and they're really leading the way for how the comics go forward. So I really love that. And I just think this is the best way to go when it comes to Black Panther. He's very calculating. He's very well mannered, great voice, great charisma, just everything. He's got everything going for him, and I hope to see him play a bigger role in the MCU, especially because he's the highest grossing superhero solo and other team movies. I really feel like this movie was a team movie because there were so many awesome characters, and it just felt like an ensemble. I really loved it. So next up, I will have to say Killmonger. I know he's probably debatably the most popular character in the film right now. Everyone's talking about Killmonger right now. Um, Killmonger in the comics is a little bit different from the one in the movie, but it's okay. I felt this approach felt very Magneto-esque and almost felt like the original Black Panther movement in history, not the comic version. He really embodied that, and that was a nice contrast in the film. Um, and it's also a fun fact that Magneto was based off of the Black Panther movement, and Professor Charles Xavier was based off of Martin Luther King. I mean, Magneto was based off of Malcolm X, and Xavier was built modeled off of Martin Luther King. So you can kind of see some of the similarities and why I felt Killmonger was a lot like Magneto, and I felt he was a very strong villain, and I thought he had some great dialogues too. When he died, when he said, "Bury me in the ocean like my ancestors that jumped off the slave ships." I thought that was a very powerful line, especially for the MCU, which is a very Disney franchise, a very Disney family friendly thing. I'm surprised they went with such a topic that, I know somebody out there could have gotten triggered by that, but I'm glad they took the risk and didn't care. They did it. They made him um a very powerful antagonist that felt like somebody that's very can get under your skin, and also you kind of secretly, some of us can cheered for him. And that brought up a whole other conversation I know a lot of people are having right now. See some t-shirts out there saying Killmonger did nothing wrong or Killmonger was right, and it's brought up a bit interesting topic. But my issue with Killmonger is, the MCU doesn't have many great villains like the X-Men universe does, and it's unfortunate that they killed him off. I just felt that was very a waste, considering the fact that MCU doesn't have that many great villains. I don't really consider Loki a villain because he's more of an anti-hero, and Thanos we really haven't seen much of until Infinity War because he's just been this shadow in the background and not having a major role. But that will happen. We've been leading up to him for Infinity War, so we'll see that soon. Um, Next up, I have to say I liked, for what are we at, sixth? Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character, Nakia, she's a very big departure from Nakia in the comics. I remember reading Nakia, and she's more of a villain, I believe. She's more of like almost like Poison Ivy. She's kind of obsessed with T'Challa in a way, and she kind of felt like a departure from that character, and she feels more of around the vein of Monica, T'Challa's love interest in the comics before Storm. And I didn't have a problem with that. I thought she did a good job. I felt she had a lot of beautiful outfits in the film. I really loved her outfit when she walked into the casino with T'Challa and Okoye. She felt like a James Bond girl. It was just beautiful, like this green earth tone. She wore a lot of green and earth tones, and she looked very beautiful. Looked great on her skin tone. It was just perfect. Um, the only issue with the character is now that it's possible that the X-Men are coming to the MCU, are they just going to kind of write her out if Storm comes into the mix? I mean, that's a real thing that's happening right now in Marvel and Fox's world and the MCU and Disney as a whole. So what's going to happen? Should they turn her into a villain? Are they going to introduce Storm in Black Panther 2? A lot of reports have been talking about and asking about it. Will they just write her off? I'm just curious what's going to happen with their relationship. Another interesting thing is she did a really good job of just keeping T'Challa grounded and looking past Wakanda. And I think Killmonger had a similar idea, but his was very extreme, where I felt Nakia's view was to help people around the world. And I feel like that's a very big responsibility for all nations. We all have to help each other. We're not just separate countries as we like to pretend we are. I feel like we're all a part of this bigger picture in the world, and I feel like the strongest of us in leadership should help each other in the best ways we can. That's respectful of other people's cultures and world. But it's going to be interesting to see where we go with her character because I feel like she is an important part of the film because she kind of helps T'Challa expand his horizons past Wakanda. But at the same token, I have a feeling Storm and the X-Men are coming to the MCU, so fans are going to want to see that. That was one of the biggest weddings in all of comics. It felt like, on a comic scope, it felt like Prince Charles and Diana's marriage. It was just huge. So we'll see what happens. I like Nakia. I hope she sticks around for better or for worse, whether she's a villain or not, or she continues to be T'Challa's love interest. I think Lupita Nyong'o is great. I also wanted her to play Storm in the past for the X-Men when they're going to recast Storm, a younger version of Storm. I thought she'd have been great, but I think now I'm happy with how she's playing Nakia. She's very soft, and we'll get a new Storm. I'm not worried. I think Marvel's been doing a great job casting characters. I know they're going to cast a great Storm. I'm not worried. Um, but we'll see what happens. Nakia's character is going to be really interesting to see where she goes from here on out. And speaking of characters, let's talk about the post-credit scene. we got to see the Winter Soldier, who's now donning the White Wolf mantle at the end of the film, which is kind of nice to see Bucky's back together again after Civil War. And he seems to really be very, friendly with Shuri. I'm wondering what's going to happen with that relationship since she pieced him back together. Or in her words, fixing another broken white boy. Like I said, Nakia. Shuri's got the best lines in the movie. So I think they're trying to set it up for Infinity War that, Winter Soldier, Bucky's back in the game. He's no longer just, broken as he was in Civil War. So I think that's what they need to that they tried to establish in that post-credit scene. And as we all know, the Black Panther film did phenomenal, like here in the States, and it made it blew expectations by Marvel's and Disney standards and just standards by movies in general. However, when it made its way to China, it didn't do as well. It didn't do bad. It did really well in its first week, but it immediately dropped and wasn't well received. And China, a lot of reviews in China felt that it was too black, and they didn't really understand a lot of the politics and representation and things significance that we have for it in the States. So we have a ways to go for getting China to appreciate black characters, and this has been a problem in the past. If you look at Star Wars, the Episode 6, and if you look at 12 Years a Slave, they've had definitely similar issues in getting their films to stick with the Chinese audience. So we'll get there one day. I'm just really happy it made its number one. That's profound. We take our wins when we can, and we'll get there one day. I know we will. And hopefully this will open the door now that Hollywood knows that, oh, black characters and other minorities are profitable. They're not, it's not just, we don't just need to have white lead superhero films. Hopefully this means we'll see more Blade movies, we'll see a Static Shock movie, or we'll see a Vixen movie, and hopefully Storm will get her own movie, if not a Black Panther and Storm movie. I'm really hoping it happens. And while we're on that, I hope we get to see more Asian superheroes, more Latino superheroes, more gay and lesbian superheroes, and just more. I want to see more. I mean, I'm not trying to diss any white characters, but I feel like we're not in any short supplies of white leads kicking ass. I'm just saying. Now, my only complaint with this movie is I wish it was longer. I loved it. I know it was long to begin with, but give me that 4-hour extended cut. Like, Wakanda was just such an amazing place that there was so much more that can be told. There's a rumor going around that the film could have been up to 4 hours long, and I'd be that one person like the Lord of the Rings movie. Give me the full extended cut, 4 hours. I want to see it. And that's not really a complaint. It's just the movie was so good, I could have seen more. So in conclusion, I really love the Black Panther film. I am super excited for Infinity War. I think everybody is. I think that's why they moved the Infinity War movie up, because everyone's just on a hype train right now. And we will be seeing Okoye, Black Panther, and Shuri in the film. So we're definitely going to get our Wakanda fix. And part of the film does take place in Wakanda. So if you enjoyed Black Panther, you're going to be ready for Infinity War. And I think vice versa. If you love the MCU, you've probably, seen this film, and missing one, you can't miss one. You have to see them all. It's almost like a soap opera. It's just so great. And I really love what the MCU is doing in connecting its universe. I love the X-Men films, but I feel like their universe is their films don't always connect. It's going to be interesting to see how the Wolverine movies or the X-Men movies or the New Mutants movies all fit together. The Deadpool movies, they all fit together. I mean, they're trying, but I feel like the MCU's got it down. I feel the DC universe is struggling with that as well. They just can't get their stuff to stick as well as they should be. And it's nice to see all these pieces fit together in the MCU, like this very well-oiled machine. And don't get me wrong, some of the MCU movies are very overrated, especially with certain flops like the Inhumans. But I have to say, this is one of the best ones. Definitely one of my favorite Marvel Cinematic movies of all time. I have to say, I'd give it an A. It's definitely up there, and you can't miss this one. So tell me what you think of the movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was Killmonger right or wrong? Who was your favorite character? Give me your thoughts. I want to hear them. All right. And it's me, Jinx, signing out.